Hello guys, ninaja wadau. I hope mko poa, hata mimi niko poa, sina ubaya. Today I'm going to talk about the strategy of Jesus. Unapata mostly when Christ was around doing his ministry, alikuwa anapatana na watu kadhaa wenye walikuwa wanajaribu kumdisapprove or probably wenye wanajaribu kujipendekeza wakitaka kuprove venye njia yao iko sawa ama venye wako sawa, right, ama venye wanafaa. So kitu ya kwanza sijui the reason why Jesus alichagua the 12 disciples. You find that these people, it's not that they wrote CVs or probably that they came and told Jesus, let me follow you, right? Actually, those who told Jesus that they won't follow him, Jesus did tell them not to. But Jesus specifically went to these people, right? These 12 disciples, or the disciples that he chose, and told them, or told each one of them to follow him. Well, Jesus had many followers, but the disciples that he took to himself were the 12. And it appears as though they all were specific. He specifically chose them because they had something. They were the chosen ones, if I would probably say so. They were to do something related to his coming. And you find that all these became apostles and they all had a task. Peter became the head of the church. John was to write the Revelation, who was the last probably apostle to die. And Judas was the one who would initiate the process of redemption on the last days, so that he would lead to the death of Christ on the cross. So we find that there was a purpose as to why probably Jesus chose these 12. Probably there could be more meaning to it, anyhow. And the number 12 in the Jewish custom or in the Hebrew custom is unique. You find that there are 12 tribes, right? So 12, also just chose 12. It probably could be a representation of the specific certain groupings of Christianity. I don't know. Probably there could be a reason. But anyhow, so you find that, for example, when Jesus met with that rich man, Jesus was walking with the disciples, and this young man who was rich came to him and said, Rabbi or Master, I have been a good person and I have followed all the law till now and I have not broken any. I have followed all the commandments. And Jesus also asked him about the commandments, and he said about loving your neighbor as yourself. And after he was trying to prove himself to Jesus, then Jesus told him that now there is one thing that you haven't done, that sell all you have and give it away and come and follow me, right? You see, most often we tend to feel or think that following Christ is just some mere thing. Probably he thought so. He probably felt worthy, right, to be a follower of Christ. But Christ turned it into another aspect that he hadn't seen, right? So he thought that I am qualified, I haven't been a bad person. But we probably tend to not realize that the goodness is not about us. It's not about how good we are or the good things that we do, because none of the good things are going to take us to heaven or make us followers of Christ. But it is about Christ, right? It is about realizing Christ in our lives, Christ in us, Christ in what we do. Because if we are just looking upon ourselves, then we are disregarding Christ, then it amounts to naught, right? So the very thing that he had overlooked is Christ, right? All this time he was looking upon himself and what he has and the good things that he is able to do, but his life was without Christ. You see, also Christ says that the Son of Man has got no place to rest his head. So Jesus challenged him and told him, okay, you are saying that you are perfect for the role, to follow me. You're saying that you are qualified, right? Then sell all you have, all your riches, leave it all and come and follow me. Give it away. And he could not do that. And most often it is like that in our lives, probably. It is so hard for us to let go of the things we cherish, for us to let go of the riches, right? And become followers of Christ and start looking to Christ, right? And the challenge is that to be a follower of Christ, we have got to let go of these things that are taking the place of Him, right? Let go of the idol worship, probably these things that we're worshiping, that will hinder us to become followers of Christ. And probably Christ was actually just telling him, stop idolizing yourself, stop idolizing your riches, remove your focus from your riches and replace that focus, stay your focus on Christ now, right? Like giving away or leaving what you have might not actually mean that you are losing it, you see. Also, Christ also said that whoever retains the riches or what they have shall lose it, but whoever sacrifices it and follows Christ shall gain it. You see, so it is not actually that you are losing it, unless probably it has been acquired in evil ways, because once you become a follower of Christ, it so happens that everything that you had acquired in evil ways will start to separate from your life. Why? Because Christ will not exist together with the work of the enemy, right? So that which is of the enemy shall depart from your life, and Christ will start to add to your life His riches, right? After thou hast sought the kingdom of God, right? So the rich young man was unable to do that, and that restricted him from becoming a follower of Christ. Well, you find that also the Pharisees, we say that the Pharisees were religious people. They were people that did things in accordance to religion, in accordance to the law. The people who read the book and then did. It was all not actually coming from probably the heart or things that they actually committed to do. They were just probably like things that they did because they were written, right? Not because they had probably any actual connection to it, right? So they followed the law of Moses, and out of the 10 commandments, they probably subscribed another 600 or so laws, right? So you see that they were people who were bound, yet they did not realize it. And Jesus came to destroy the yoke of the law and set people free out of the bondage of the law, because it is also written that the letter killeth, but Christ bringeth life. So these people used to challenge Christ, and they did not understand the way of Christ, right? They did not understand how Christ did things. They looked at the law and they looked at Christ, and Christ is saying that He is the Messiah, but they are wondering how. Christ is not exactly following the law. Though Christ did not come to break the law, but actually to reinforce it, right? But there were certain things that were going wrong, whereby you find that it is said that they are actually more concerned about the cleanness of the outward of the cup rather than the inside. So Jesus came to make right the law, right? So you find that probably God had seen that people were just following the law, but it is not actually within them. It is not actually in their hearts. They are not doing it from their hearts. They are just doing it for the sake of it, just because it is written. And what they are offering sacrifices, right? It is just like a formality, right? But it is not something that is actually from their hearts. So Christ came to abolish that, the falsehood of the law, and break that bondage so that it could be real now, right? When you become a follower of Christ, or if you follow the law, it is something that is from your heart, in truth. And also, probably the blood of lambs could no longer wash away the sin. So there needed to be an higher redemption than the blood of animals. And now that is where Christ came to be that sacrifice, the highest sacrifice. So that now the bondage of the law could be broken, and now people could be redeemed, to actually be saved. So Christ came to turn things around, right? He came to introduce a new way to follow God, to be redeemed, right? So the Pharisees only cared about how they looked from the outside, right? They cared about how people saw them, but Christ cared none of that, right? It is recorded that there was a time that probably it was a time for fasting, but Christ and his disciples did not fast, right? And the Pharisees and the teachers of the law came to Christ and asked, Christ, why aren't your disciples fasting like we are? And it was responded that how can they fast when the bridegroom is around, right? So you find that Christ is trying to show them that if you're not right from your heart, if you're not right from within, then whatever you're doing from the outside also would not be of importance, because it is not in realness, it is not in truth. So whenever these Pharisees came to prove themselves to Christ that their way is right and his way is off, then Christ will challenge them even further. If they brought a question, Christ will grant them another question, right? And then they will be left wondering, right, what the answer would be. And so there was also this time whereby Jesus did perform miracles among the people. The Pharisees came and they could not understand, you see. They are people who are bound by the law. They did not understand the way of the Spirit. You see, it is written that people who are led of the Spirit are like the wind. You do not know from wherewith it cometh or wherewith it goeth, right? So you find that if you are led of the Spirit, or if you are working through the Spirit, it's just like a script, right? So they did not understand anything Jesus was doing. It was beyond them. It was out of the script. So you see this bondage that these people were, but they thought that they were in rightness, but they weren't. They were completely lost. And we also say that this is the spirit of religion. It is whereby you're only concerned about, am I doing certain things right? Am I following the law? But disregarding the work of the Spirit. Letting go of the burdens, right? Being an actual follower of Christ and doing in accordance with rightness from the heart. Actually loving, right? Actually being peaceful. Actually doing good, right? Anyhow, so you find that they came and asked Jesus, from what power do you do these things? Because they had also said that Jesus was doing these things by the power of the enemy. Because they didn't understand how a man could cast out demons. So they thought that in order for demons to obey Jesus, he must be also part and parcel together with that. But that was wrong. And when they came to Jesus and asked that, Jesus did not answer them, right? But instead, Jesus asked them another question, that you tell me, then by what power did John the Baptist do what he did? Right? And they thought, and they said they didn't know. Probably because they were in conflict, because you see, we have said that these people cared about how they looked. So though they probably knew the answer, right? But they did not want to look bad towards the people, because they had taken a stand to convince the people not to follow Jesus, right? So they probably knew that Jesus was in the right. They probably knew the answer to it, and they probably knew that John the Baptist was sent of God, right? But they just did not want to believe it. They just did not want to accept it, right? They were still bound by the law, right? And the things of old. So then they came to Jesus after collecting themselves, and they said, we don't know, right? They said that they didn't know. And you see that Jesus knows their thoughts, right? He knows everything that they are planning, they are uttering, even amongst themselves. And then Jesus says that even I also won't tell you by what power or what authority I do these things. You see, even when they had taken Jesus at the last time when Jesus was to be crucified, and Jesus said before them that I am the Messiah, because they asked him if you are the Messiah, I said I am. Yet they could not still believe. But all this was in good plan, because if they had believed, then it would mean that there would not be the crucifixion of Jesus, which was to redeem us, mankind. Anyhow, so we see that all is in plan, but anyhow, we are here about the strategy of Jesus. Right? So we find that also that was another case whereby these people are coming to prove themselves how good they are, but Jesus is reproving them, right? And showing them that, wait, we are yet. Also, you find that on the Mount that day when Jesus was teaching about the Beatitudes, you find that if you thought that you were in the right, then probably Jesus will show you you are not, right? Because rightness or righteousness is not about us. It's not exactly about what we are doing, but it's all based upon Christ. And none can be righteous without Christ, right? Also, none can be righteous without the Spirit of God, without Christ in them. It is Christ who makes all the difference. So, when Jesus will turn one way and say, happy are you who mourn, right? For you shall probably be joyous. And probably some people will laugh at them from other place. And Jesus will turn to them that happy are you who are in laughter now, for there comes a time when you shall mourn. You see? So, but anyway, all that Jesus was trying to show or teach is that stop viewing yourselves as though you are right. Stop viewing yourself as though you are worthy than the other. For anyhow, why do you think yourself better than your fellow person, right? So, Jesus was trying to show people or them the act of selflessness, that you are not just looking upon yourself and trying to show yourself how good you are or how worthy you are than the other, but if at all you are anyhow good, it is for the glory of God. If at all you are anyhow gifted, it is all for the glory of God. So that if you remove Christ from the equation, then it amounts to nothing, right? It is all by the grace of God. It is not just actually by our own doing, by our own strength. It is all by the grace of God. It is all by the enablement of God. And I will show you that how. You see that even the evil person, like for example King Nebuchadnezzar, who was used by God to bring judgment upon the people of Israel, you find that the moment when pride came to him and he started to think that he did these things because he was powerful, then God proved him wrong, and God made him eat grass for 7 years, right? So you find that in all things, God is in control. And you find that whether it is in the evil or in the right, do you actually know that even in the evil place, they think they are doing righteousness? And those that are in right are being viewed by the evil as though they are evil, right? Even as they see that they are in rightness. So that's how it is. If you are on this side, those people are saying these people are evil. But to them, they're actually probably seeing that they are in righteousness for doing that evil, right? And on this place whereby these people are saying we are right, we are the righteous ones, and we are saying those are the evil ones. So you see, it's quite funny actually. So there's no like line to say like, this is good, this is a good person, this is an evil person, because if it is without Christ, then it doesn't have basis. So that is it, right? So when we are regarding ourselves as good or as better, then Christ disapproves of that. Because unless we become selfless of us and we start to look upon Christ and acknowledge the power of Christ in all that we do, and acknowledge the power of God in play in what we have been enabled to do, then it all amounts just to naught. And you find that there is also that place whereby it is written that people do great things, right? But on that last day, when they will be telling Jesus that I made miracles, right? I helped the poor, I did all these things, but all these things they did without Christ in their hearts. They just did it for deeds, right? But their hearts were not there, right? Or probably Christ was in their hearts in the things they did. So Christ will say that I knew you not. So it is not about works. If these works are not based on Christ, then they are just useless things, and Christ will disregard. So anyhow, let's not be people who are trying to do good to impress or trying to prove ourselves that we are the ones who are right or worthy, because we have seen that Christ will disapprove of such works, and we are to remain focused on Christ. If there is any good in our lives, Christ be glorified. If there is any great things happening for us, it is all for the glory of God, right? And even if probably you think that you are doing it by your own strength, even if you are convinced that you are saying that it is by your own strength that you have done these things, well, I will ask you this question. Will you better place it upon yourself that you have done these things, and when trouble comes, what should you do? Or will it be better, even though probably you are saying or you are thinking that it is by your own strength that you have done these things, not yet credit it to Christ, right? So that even when trouble comes, it is committed to Christ. You tell me. Well, I myself probably say, I will commit to Christ. I will say it is Christ who has done it. I will say it is by the enablement of Christ. I will say that it is not by power, not by might, but by the Spirit of God. I will say it is all but for the glory of God. And probably when trouble strikes, I will call upon God, right? If the Lord will choose to deliver me, then glory be to Him. So anyhow, be blessed. Till next time, peace. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow. Thank you.